Oh my lord! More dinosaur dragons are finally here, and yes, more of the primal dragons have now been revealed to us because we did get this new video here today from the official DML YouTube channel called Dragon Mania Legends Primal Dragons Explained, which goes through these new primal dragons in a little bit more detail. We get to see some of the new primal dragons that are going to be coming out. But we will be going through this because there is a full explanation for lots of different things. And of course you can find this on the official DML YouTube channel, as you can see here. But dinosaur dragons, I'm a big fan. You know, my favorite dragon's Citrine. So this is something I really wanted to, you know, see in game. But remember, primal dragons, they essentially are strong against every element in the game, but also weak to every element in the game, and this mini guide, I guess, does go through this a little bit, but I'm just going to be playing it without any sound because I don't want to get copyright struck by UMG, but we are going to play through this. So we do have the CC here, and occasionally you may see some wrong words, but we've got this alien dragon, which we've known about for a little while now, but his elements are finally announced here, or I guess revealed to us, in terms of he is the one with Primal, Void, and Metal, which I think is pretty, you know, works out for him. But he's called Fluorescent Blue. Well, I mean, they're definitely not messing around with that, right? Fluorescent Blue is definitely what he looks like. So is there a Primal Temple? I'll start easy. No, primal dragons do not need you to upgrade a temple to level them up. And we also get this like little sneak peek of the baby blue fluorescent or fluorescent blue. Look at him. Look at how good these colors are for the primal dragons. Like, this is basically near on my favorite color. So big thumbs up for me in terms of primals. And you'll also see this primal habitat in the background here. You know, kind of nice. It looks like there's some sort of weird flower or fruiting stuff in the background. But this is obviously the primal habitat with fluorescent blue inside it. But we're not going to need temples. So is there a primal habitat? Can they be placed in other habitats? I guess that would be good to know, right? So yes, they have their own habitats, though primal dragons can also be placed in legendary, divine, and ancient habitat, as well as any other habitat that matches the elements. And you can see the primal habitat there between the time habitat and the light habitat. You know, it definitely looks more in your face than, you know, the light habitat looks. Definitely. But he looks cute in there as well. How can I get a primal dragon? So we do actually know that the primals are going to be possible to get in the upcoming events. And they do say here it's not possible to breed any primal dragons, so we will only be able to acquire them through special means and events. And look at this baby fluorescent blue, I'm in love. I'm in love with him. But for the time being, primal dragons will be available exclusively within the treasure hunt events. So, you know, we've got one of those coming up straight after the ancient event happens, but yeah, we'll have to see how this new treasure hunt event works out. And how are their health or attack stats? Are they like divine or ancients? We already know the answer to this. The answer is no, they do not have exceptional stats. Actually, does that screen look slightly different? Why is he so far off to the right? Am I the only one noticing that? That looks slightly different, but man, I love this color scheme. I love it. So yeah, essentially, primals, as we know, are not going to be as strong as ancients and divines. It's just, I guess, like an upgrade to legendary in a sense. But primals will only be trampler body type dragons. I don't know. Will they? So far, we've only shown a blue fluorescent dragon, but primal dragons can be available in any body type, such as this jade devil dragon. So the answer is no. Primals aren't exclusively those 6 to 8-legged beasts. We will probably get more 6-legged dragons in lots of different forms, so that's the thing. But that does seem to also confirm that this dragon here, this dinosaur ass looking dragon, corally dinosaur looking ass, is going to be the Jade Devil Dragon. So very cute. And how will primal dragons look, which is the main thing. So that is a great question, and they are looking for a consistent feel to the primal dragons is what he said. So like we've got this mock-up art sketch here, we've also got this which is like concept art, but let's try a version with darker skin for contrast and the primal's signature color. You can see that they've added in that little bit of info there. So if you want to like stop the video at any time, obviously you can, and see all the little bits and pieces and things that maybe even I've missed. But obviously a lot of thought goes into the actual design of dragons, their colors, what things they can incorporate. So there's that. We've got this new guy which looks very cool, and then we got this guy here where, I don't know, he kind of looks like a blue log, a blue lava log. It's probably the least interesting out of all of them so far, but maybe he'll look cooler when he's actually released. But as their name suggests, these dragons are the most primal in Dragonlandia, and in that sense you can think of them as old as nature itself. So while we've got the divines and ancients that are like the gods, these guys are like old, basically. And we got this new guy here, and they say that they're taking inspiration from unusual looking creatures, mystical creatures, and dinosaurs. Hell yes, that is what I wanted to hear. But, you know, this snake here, are very cute. I love dinosaurs. And this guy over here, you can see he definitely has some particular, peculiar look to him. I'd love to see his adult form though. And then the primal element is weak to all elements but strong to all elements too. Yes, we already know this, they went through this before, but obviously this video is here for, I guess, anyone that is confused by anything. But we do get to see this dragon actually in battle using the primal element for the first time, so this is actually really, really interesting. So we've got the primal element here, and if I just stop on this timestamp, we can see it says there's a 15% chance to stun the target for 1 turn. Now, 15% is not a very high percent. I'm just gonna say it right now. 15% for a level 6 upgrade is pretty bad. It's reminding me of like the light element with the stun, even though it can be game changing in map fights. In terms of like dungeon, this 15% chance to stun is really not as consistent as I'd hope for it to be. But you can see here, he's going to use the primal element. He uses primal on itself, and then if I close these for a second, the CCs, you'll see it says dangerous, but also reckless. So that does mean that they can take more damage, but they're also going to deal more damage as well. So you can place that on your dragon and, you know, basically do super damage, but also take super damage. So that is essentially how primals work. So in terms of that, we have been saying that primals probably aren't going to be a good addition to the dungeon. And they actually address that here. Primal dragons are bad for a dungeon team. ... And so he actually says, well, if you only want the dragon to deal damage and complete tasks, then yes, primal dragons are at a disadvantage. But if you want to take out as many enemy dragons as possible, then, you know, they can be super useful for just doing lots of KOs. But we know that the main thing in the dungeon is about completing those tasks. So honestly, I don't see primals as being very useful in the dungeon still. This has sort of cemented what we believed was going to be the case before it actually happened. So, will we be adding primals to our dungeon teams? Probably not, honestly. They're probably just going to be add them if you have an extra team slot. But right now, they're not looking very strong. But anyway, moving on to the next part of this video. How many season points are they worth? Not really a major thing, but they'll be worth 300 pointerinos. And do primal dragons need their other elements awakened? Unlike legendary, divine, and ancient dragons, you do not need to awaken the remaining elements of any primal dragons. So in that sense, they're actually like a grade below legendary, because that's going to make them a hell of a lot, I guess, more appealing to newer players, because the main reason we say don't use legendaries is because they're just not worth wasting all of those gems. on unlocking the final element. So maybe instead of new players using mostly just epics, maybe using mainly primals might even be the new strat for anyone that doesn't have divines and ancients. That may be how we see the meta change now. But anyway, is every primal element dragon a primal rarity? They said yes, like legendaries, divines, and ancients, the primal element will also be a primal rarity dragon. And will existing dragons become primal dragons? So, no, we won't be doing this, even if it might make sense from a lore perspective of some dragons. We don't want to overcomplicate the introduction of the primals. So, in terms of the actual dragons themselves, that confirms that no existing dragons will have their elements changed over to Primal. Primal is still looking like a bad dungeon option, and it's essentially like an equivalent, but also not to Legendary, in the sense that it's probably going to be more beneficial to go with Primals because you don't have to waste the gems on unlocking the other elements. So they're basically like better epics. In that sense, well, I guess it depends on how good it is to have a dragon that's weak to everything. But, you know, that's the general introduction to primals and everything that I could sort of point out about these dragons. You know, maybe there's some little tidbits and extra things I haven't noticed, but essentially, with all of these dragons, you just got to remember that they are weak to everything while still being strong. So I think that they could be really good on the map, but in terms of dungeon and special events, I can't see them being very strong. We can see the elements of that new Jade, whatever his name is, dragon in the left there, Primal, Water, and Plant. So I believe that we already saw him in-game, just with his face blurred out. So, you know, we got a sneak peek at lots of primals. We got to see primals in action, in battle, without them hiding things. But, you know, I guess get hyped, because these dragons are coming very, very soon. And I love this fluorescent blue dragon. Everything about him. The chonkiness, the colours, the baby, the animations. I love all of it. I genuinely do. Maybe one of my new favourites? Possibly. But if there's going to be more dinosaur dragons, I have to say the one I'm most looking forward to is actually this guy. Like, obviously we don't have an in-game model for this guy yet, but he looks very, very cool. He looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Definitely does. You know, well, his arms are quite large, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Or, in a sense, it kind of looks like a Papa Agave dragon. You know, the head and everything else. It kind of looks like a really powerful agave dragon. Maybe that's just me, but either way, you know, that is the full video. Again, you can go and watch it yourself without it being muted, and you can listen to his beautiful voice. But, you know, I don't want to get claimed by UMG, so I'm not doing that. But either way, these are the new dragons. Let me know what you think. Let me know which ones are your favourites, and make sure you go and check out the video yourself. You know, leave your feedback. I am 100% in favour of dinosaur dragons, even if they're not stronger than the existing dragons. Hell yes, I want more dinosaurs in my video games. But anyway, for now, I appreciate you joining me. Continue with your event progress, and until then, I hope to see you next time.